As I stood in the grocery store, deafness shielding me from the chaos of the world, little did I know that an encounter with Karen would turn my peaceful existence upside down. Ignorance clashed with understanding, and a simple misunderstanding spiraled into a battle for justice as Karen calls cops to arrest me for being rude. But I'm deaf. Here's how it all went down. My name is Alex, and I'm deaf. I communicate through sign language and lip reading, which works fine most of the time. That is, until I had the misfortune of encountering Karen at the local grocery store. It was a typical sunny afternoon, and I was at this local grocery store picking up some essentials. I was minding my own business, browsing through the aisles when I felt a sharp tap on my shoulder. Turning around, I saw a middle-aged woman with a scowl that could curdle milk. It was Karen, though I didn't know her name at the time. She started talking, her lips moving rapidly. I couldn't understand her, so I gestured to my ears and shook my head, hoping she'd understand that I was deaf. But Karen, oh Karen, she didn't take that well. "What do you mean no? I'm talking to you. Are you ignoring me?" she screeched. I could see her lips and her red face, but her words were lost to me. I tried to explain, using my limited ability to speak and some basic signs, that I was deaf. But Karen wasn't having any of it. She started ranting, her face turning a shade of red that would put tomatoes to shame. The situation escalated quickly. Karen, in her infinite wisdom, decided that my rudeness was a crime. She whipped out her phone and dialed 911. I stood there bewildered as she animatedly explained to the dispatcher that I was being deliberately rude and ignoring her. The next thing I knew, 2 police officers walked into the store. Karen pointed at me, her finger shaking with rage. "That's him! Arrest him for ignoring me!" One of the officers, a young guy with a bewildered look, approached me. "Sir, we've been told you're causing a disturbance." I tried to explain, but Karen interrupted. "He's pretending. He heard me just fine." The officer, now understanding the situation, turned to Karen. "Ma'am, he's deaf. He can't hear you." But Karen was like a dog with a bone. "Deaf or not, it's no excuse. He was rude to me and I demand justice." The officers exchanged glances, clearly at a loss. The younger one tried to reason with Karen, explaining that being deaf isn't a crime and that I hadn't done anything wrong. But Karen was relentless. The store manager, Mr. Miller, came over to see what the commotion was about. After a quick explanation, he sided with me, much to Karen's dismay. "This gentleman is a regular customer, and he's always been respectful. He's deaf, Karen. You can't expect him to respond to you verbally." Karen huffed. "Well, he should have found a way to let me know." Mr. Miller raised an eyebrow. "He did. You just didn't listen." The officers eventually convinced Karen to leave, but not before she vowed to take this to the higher authorities. I was left standing there, a mix of relief and disbelief washing over me. As Karen stormed out, she turned to me one last time. "You'll regret this. People like you should be taught a lesson." I watched her leave, her words echoing in the silence of my world. It was a stark reminder that even in the quietest towns, ignorance and stubbornness can speak volumes. And as for me, I just went back to shopping, grateful for the peace that returned to the local grocery. But I couldn't shake off the feeling that this wasn't the last I'd see of Karen. In a town like Willow Creek, word travels fast, and Karen's kind of stubbornness tends to echo louder than most. I can't believe Karen called the cops on someone just because they were deaf. It's important to have patience and understanding with others, especially when it comes to disabilities. Kudos to the store manager for standing up for Alex. By the way, if you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more captivating content like this. I never thought I would find myself questioning my own actions, wondering if I had crossed a line. It all started with a birthday celebration, but it quickly escalated into a heated argument, a stolen bracelet, and a slap that changed everything. Am I a jerk for slapping my stepmother? Here's how it all went down. I'm M, 19, and I have an older brother, 23. Around 4 years ago, my father, 42, got married my stepmother, 35, after leaving my mother, 41. My mother is French and my father is from America. After 5 months of leaving my mother, my father started to date my stepmother, and a couple months later they got married. My stepmother has 2 children, a boy Henry, 13, and a daughter Hannah, 8. My relationship with my stepmother isn't great, but we agree on some things. The incident happened 5 weeks ago when I was celebrating my 19th birthday. As guests started to arrive and the party started, it was time to blow out the candles before I could have done that. My mother came in the country to surprise me along. She brought a gold bracelet with my name and my horoscope sign engraved onto it. My stepsister saw the bracelet and immediately wanted it, but my stepmother told her no. Noted she has an habitat of wanting and taking things that didn't belong to her and her mother and cougar her behavior. I spoke to my father about it, and I even threatened him that I would move to France and live with my mother if it didn't stop. After blowing out the candles, she came up to me and asked for it. I told her no, but I was stupid and left it on the table with the other gifts. Later into the night, I heard my mother shouting I went to see what was happened. It was my mother and my stepmother arguing, and behind my stepmother was my stepsister with the bracelet around her hand. I'm 19 years old, and I have an older brother, 23. Around 4 years ago, my father, 42, got married to my stepmother, 35, after leaving my mother, 41. My mother is French, and my father is from America. After 5 months of leaving my mother, my father started dating my stepmother, and a couple of months later, they got married. My stepmother has 2 children, a boy named Henry, 13, and a daughter named Hannah, 8. My relationship with my stepmother isn't great, but we agree on some things. The incident happened 5 weeks ago when I was celebrating my 19th birthday. As guests started to arrive and the party began, it was time to blow out the candles. However, before I could do that, my mother came to the country to surprise me and brought a gold bracelet with my name and horoscope sign engraved on it. My stepsister saw the bracelet and immediately wanted it, but my stepmother told her no. It's worth noting that she has a habit of wanting and taking things that don't belong to her, and her mother encourages her behavior. I spoke to my father about it and even threatened him that I would move to France and live with my mother if it didn't stop. After blowing out the candles, my stepsister came up to me and asked for the bracelet. I told her no, but stupidly, I left it on the table with the other gifts. Later in the night, I heard my mother shouting, so I went to see what was happening. It was my mother and my stepmother arguing, and behind my stepmother was my stepsister with the bracelet around her hand. A moment later, my father came and tried to calm both of them down, as both my mother and I pointed out that my stepsister took the bracelet even after I told her no. My father told my stepsister to hand it over. However, she threw a tantrum and tried to run away. I grabbed her hand and quickly pulled the bracelet off. In the heat of the moment, my stepmother pushed and slapped me for grabbing her daughter. I admit that I squeezed her tightly when I grabbed her. Angry and caught up in the moment, I slapped my stepmother back. My father yelled at me for hitting my stepmother, and soon everyone at the party heard the commotion. My stepmother cried loudly, claiming that I slapped her. My stepbrother started to argue, but he soon calmed down after my brother and a couple of cousins on my father's side spoke to him. I left the party with my mother and brother, and I spent 2 days at my mother's hotel before she left. When I returned home, my stepmother and her children didn't say a word to me. They only threw hints, and my father hardly spoke to me because I didn't apologize. A week after the incident, I started receiving texts and calls from my stepmother's family, calling me a horrible person for hitting my stepmother. It became annoying, so I complained to my father. However, he hasn't told my stepmother anything to my knowledge. They also started sending me edited photos with the word woman beater written on them, which led me to delete my social media accounts and create new ones. I know that hitting women is wrong, and I don't encourage it, but from my perspective, she hit me first, and I got angry. However, I am considering apologizing to her and getting over the entire issue. I am looking forward to spending the holidays with my mother. I will keep you all updated, so am I the jerk? Since posting my original post, I have been sleeping and spending most of my time at my brother's apartment. I came home this morning because my father is dropping me off at the airport. My father and stepmother were home along with my step-siblings. My stepmother only said a few words to me, while my step-siblings didn't say a word to me. I spent most of the day in my room, while my father checked in on me from time to time. At 8 p.m., I was called down to dinner. After dinner, I waited for my step-siblings to leave. After they left, I apologized to my stepmother for slapping her and grabbing my stepsister. She responded by nodding her head, which I think meant she accepted it. I didn't really care. After that, I turned to my father and told him about my plan to stay permanently with my mother. He was shocked and asked if that's what I wanted. He said he would support me, to which I said okay, and went to my room. There were a few comments I saw that I wanted to address. Firstly, I want to thank everyone for sharing their input and advice, which I followed. To the people who said that I was the jerk and I needed to apologize, thank you for your input. I fully understand where y'all are coming from. I was completely wrong for grabbing my stepsister and slapping my stepmother. Secondly, to all the people who said I need to ensure all my personal and important belongings were locked away and safe from my stepmother, I did follow your advice. I also had locks placed on my bedroom door. Thirdly, people were asking why I stayed living with my father and why I didn't move out. I recently graduated from high school. That's why I lived with my father, and I did have a job for a little while. I want to address the people who said my father is a jerk, which is not true. In the situation, he could have defended me, but my father is a wonderful guy. He is a great guy, and I was never threatened or shunned, even after my stepmother and her children moved in. But he could have handled the situation much better. But it's his wife. Once again, I want to thank everyone for their input and advice, and I want to say that I don't encourage men hitting women or women hitting men, but I want to say thanks. After reflecting on the story, it is clear that the situation was complex and emotions were running high. While it is never acceptable to resort to physical violence, it is important to remember that everyone involved in this incident is human and capable of making mistakes. It is encouraging to see the individual acknowledging their actions and considering apologizing. Moving forward, Open communication and seeking resolution through peaceful means will be crucial for healing and rebuilding relationships. Torn between love for my boyfriend and the toxic presence of his overbearing mother, I found myself questioning our future together. Little did I know, the battle for our happiness was just beginning. Here's how it all went down. My partner, 36 years old, and I, 30 years old, have been in a relationship for 8 years. To provide some background, he was raised by a single mother, 70 years old and in good health, who doesn't approve of any of her children's partners. He is the youngest among his siblings. We have had many conversations about how the absence of his father has affected him. He has expressed his strong desire to be actively involved in raising our future children. I was raised in a two-parent household and I wanted the same for our future kids. We had many discussions and were on the same page about everything. We agreed that we would live together in 4 years. 2019. In 2019, he purchased a building with 5 units. His brother and his family live in one, wife and 3 kids. My boyfriend and his mother live in one, and he rents out the other 3. When my boyfriend bought his building, he told me he wanted to give his mother a unit and for me to move in with him. I told him that was very sweet and was on board with it. He said he wanted 2 years to fix up her unit, then she would move out and I would move in. 2021. I already own a home, so the plan was always to move in with him and rent out my house. 2 years ago, I got pregnant, 2021, and this upset his mother. She wished death on the baby and said that she wanted nothing to do with me or the baby. She made it very clear that she was never going to move out. She told me she is the queen of the house and I would be the queen when she dies. I was furious and asked how she could say such hateful things. My boyfriend spoke to her, and they had an argument. He told me he would not force her to move out. I reminded him that his plan was always to put her in her own unit, which is in the same building. He said she was not interested. I suggested that he move in with me, and he said he did not want to live in my city. He said that I should just move in with them. I refused. Why would I want to live with someone who doesn't like me? I asked why he wanted to raise his daughter in a broken home. His mother told me I better get used to being a single mother. She said I only have one, so it won't be that difficult. I live in a different city from my boyfriend. We live an hour apart. When our daughter was born, he spent the first 4 weeks at my house. Every day he would go home to do something for his mother. This really annoyed me because his mother does not have any ailments and is capable of doing things for herself. I suggested that he ask his brother to help with whatever needs to be done. He told me it wouldn't be possible as his brother is very busy with his family. When I asked him why he had to go home every day, he said his mother needed him because she was feeling lonely. I asked him when he thinks he will set boundaries with his mother, and this comment struck a nerve. His mother contracted COVID, and I took care of her until she recovered. I thought this would be a turning point for us. However, once she got better, she became even more hateful towards me. She told me she doesn't like me and never will. I asked her if I had done something to upset her, but she said I hadn't done anything, and she just doesn't like me. I spoke to my boyfriend about it, and he told me his mother never likes anyone he dates. He told me that all of his past relationships have ended because of his mother's behavior. She was unkind to all of his previous partners and essentially drove them away. He acknowledges the need to establish more boundaries, but he feels guilty because she was a single mom who took care of him, and now he feels it's his turn to take care of her. I expressed to him that he should prioritize the family we are building together. I asked him when he thinks he will be ready to live his own life, and he said when his mother passes away. I told him that since he is choosing his mother over his family, he should remember to choose her even in death. I will not wait for his mother to die in order to live my life. Am I the jerk? It's important to recognize that every situation is unique, and there are no easy answers when dealing with complex family dynamics. However, it does seem apparent that boundaries need to be established, and prioritizing the well-being of the family they are building together should be a key consideration. I never expected this to happen, but now I'm caught in a web of insecurity, mistrust, and unanswered questions. As tensions rise and secrets unravel, I must navigate the fragile balance between my newfound confidence and my wife's emotional turmoil. Here's how it all went down. My wife, 35 years old female, does not feel comfortable with me, 40 years old male, working out and going to the gym anymore, and is suggesting I quit. I've always been slightly overweight in my 20s and 30s and really let go during the pandemic and gained a lot of weight. It started bothering me, and hence last January, I joined a local gym and hired a personal trainer. I lost most of the excess weight, and the trainer also helped me gain muscle. I love going to the gym now and working out 3-4 times a week. My wife, of course, loved my dedication, and I sometimes found her staring at me when I was changing, which was adorable. Overall, my confidence improved, and I also started dressing nicely, and everything just fit right. I had a situation happen to me in the summer at my workplace. My wife's friend Barb also works in my company. One of the girls in my company, JC, late 20s female, from a different department, started becoming very friendly with me, started joining me for lunches and messaging me throughout the day about random topics. I would be busy and tried to be polite and ignore her. However, things got strange when she got hold of my phone number, which only my manager knows in the office, and started messaging me after hours. I immediately drew a line and told her it's not acceptable and only to talk to me via the company messenger, as I do not talk to work colleagues on my personal phone. I also started ignoring her after that, except for a polite hello when we came face to face. My wife asked me to report her to HR, but I did not because she never messaged me about anything inappropriate. My wife checked with her friend Barb, and she told my wife that JC and her friends were discussing my weight loss and how I have completely changed the way I dress. Again, I ignored it, as I am not sure this was raised enough to be reported to HR. The day before yesterday, during our Christmas party, Jay approached me twice and asked me to join her on the dance floor. I declined and just went about my way. By the end of the night, she came to me, started dancing suggestively in front of me, and did something highly inappropriate. I was shocked and fell back, spilling my drink on myself. JC's manager swooped in and told me she had too much to drink, and I never saw JC again at the party. When I reached home, my wife had already heard about the incident from Barb. She was crying and was angry at me. She blamed me for not reporting JC to HR when she had told me to. She also said I was drunk, which I was not, and had only 3 drinks during a 3-hour party and smelled like alcohol. After I calmed her down, she asked me to shower and rest. She apologized before sleeping but told me she felt very violated by JC's actions. And I promised her I would meet with my manager and HR as soon as the office opens again, which is after New Year's. In the morning, I woke up and started getting ready to go to the gym. My wife asked me if I could not go to the gym. I said okay, and we both cooked a nice breakfast and had fun family time with our toddler. Afterwards, my wife asked me if I could hold off going to the gym for a while. She told me that she feels insecure when other women look at me, and yesterday was a deal breaker. We never had any similar issues in the 11 years of our marriage. She loved me just the way I was and did not care if I became muscular. She told me that the purpose of the gym was to lose weight, and I have already achieved it, so I can just maintain where I am at and not work out further. Upon further probing, she told me that my losing weight had been a hot topic among her friends group, and she had a fallout with one of her friends because she made some inappropriate comments about me. All of this is making her very anxious. On one hand, I love working out now for the first time in my life. It makes me feel confident. On the other hand, I want my wife to be happy, and this is a very small price to pay in my opinion. I know she is feeling insecure and controlling, but I love her and the life we have built together, and all I want is to see her comfortable and happy. I am holding off going to the gym until New Year's and enjoying the holidays with my family. However, would I be the jerk to want to continue after that? How do I convince my wife to not be insecure? I know there is no switch. And what have people in this situation done? To be honest, after reading the comments for a few hours or so, I realized I was in the wrong for posting about my wife's reaction in such a sensitive situation. I just wanted to get perspectives from people in a comparable situation. However, I just had the internet judge her when she was at her most vulnerable. I tried to defend her in the comments section, but things got out of hand quickly, and I decided to stop reading the comments for a while and plan my day. I wanted to thank a lot of people who pointed out that her insecurity may stem from me not showing her that she is the most important person to me. I cooked her a nice dinner and asked her afterward if I had been ignoring her due to the gym or if I had given her any reason to mistrust me. According to her, I've been fine, but she's been having issues for many months now. She said she was proud of what I had achieved, and initially she used to feel good when everyone complimented me. However, she did start getting insecure when I started receiving more female attention. She also felt I was enjoying it and didn't set enough boundaries. Her examples were that some of my female friends were complimenting my body and being overly touchy, like pressing my arms and hugging excessively, and I didn't put a stop to it. She also mentioned that she caught some of her friends talking to me in a flirtatious way, but I continued talking as normal. Additionally, she didn't appreciate her friends discussing me or constantly asking her if I would attend gatherings. When one of her friends expressed some inappropriate thoughts to another friend in private, and she found out, there was a big fight in their group, and some of her friends cut contact with that person. Overall, she has been struggling with these thoughts for the last 6 months and discusses them with her therapist. She also mentioned that food was an important part of our relationship. She is an amazing cook and loves to bake. Although she still bakes for our kid, she said that I only eat in very small portions when she cooks nice meals for me. It feels as if she is only cooking for herself and has stopped making elaborate meals. She used to enjoy the fact that I liked her cooking. She also misses the food I used to cook for her. So we set some ground rules. A. I won't talk about how I am getting my 180 grams of protein every day, for those who know. No. B. When she cooks something nice, I will eat it and enjoy it. See, she can ask me to cook her favorite meals, and I must oblige. And of course, she never intended for me to stop going to the gym and was just upset with the whole situation. So that is resolved. As for JC, the situation is still ongoing. My manager talked to me the day after the incident and told me she wouldn't take it lightly and had already contacted HR. HR reached out to me yesterday afternoon. To paraphrase their email, it talked about how they want to create a safe workplace. Blah, blah. JC gave a letter of apology to her manager, and her manager forwarded it to HR. She said that she was offered too many shots and got blackout drunk and does not remember the end of the evening. She thanked her manager for taking her to her hotel room safely. She also offered to never drink alcohol at corporate events or during office happy hours. HR set up a meeting with me and my manager after we get back from the break as they want to make sure I am okay. I wanted to get an opinion from anyone who works in HR here. I'm going to tell my side of the story, including the past messages, etc. However, what is the process that HR follows here? What is really the point of this, and what outcome should I expect? It is important to set boundaries and establish mutual respect to maintain a healthy relationship. In situations involving workplace harassment, it is crucial to report any inappropriate behavior to HR to ensure a safe and respectful work environment. Overall, open dialogue and empathy can help navigate difficult situations and strengthen the bond between partners. As I stifled a laugh, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. A customer, convinced that his adopted cat understood every word he said. Little did I know, this bizarre encounter would lead to a series of events that would change the fate of Nelson, the misunderstood feline. Here's how it all went down. I work at an animal shelter, and I had a customer come in who I remembered from a few weeks ago. A man had adopted a cat named Nelson. I remember this because Nelson was one of the few cats we listed as sensitive, due to coming from a home with trauma. As a result, Nelson is extremely skittish and can occasionally misbehave. The man came in with Nelson in the carrier and asked to speak to our manager, Alan, who had helped him choose Nelson. It took me a few minutes to find Alan, and when I returned, he asked the man about the issue with the cat. The man complained that Nelson refused to listen to any orders he gave. Alan and I were puzzled and asked for clarification. Alan mentioned that while we didn't know Nelson's full training history, most cats understand the general word no due to the tone behind it. We asked if the man had tried using this approach. The man cut Alan off and insisted that Nelson was choosing not to listen to him. He claimed that he had told the cat the rules when they got home, but Nelson had ignored every single one. He went on a rant about how the cat was supposed to use the litter box, but had peed on the floor multiple times, and how he had instructed the cat not to go into the spare room, but the cat still did so. It then dawned on me that this man believed the cat could understand what he was saying. I couldn't help but burst out laughing, nearly tearing up. I had never heard of someone genuinely thinking that animals could understand human language like they were also human. Alan asked me to leave the room once he realized the issue, and I felt like a jerk afterward. It seemed that the man had never had a pet before and hadn't been around animals other than a few well-trained dogs. He genuinely believed that animals could understand human language. My boss wasn't mad at me, but she told me that I had acted unprofessionally, which I agree with to some extent. I don't think I was rude, but I know I shouldn't have laughed so hard. As a consequence, I was assigned kennel duty for the next 2 days. The cat was eventually returned, which turned out to be the best outcome in this case. It's important to note that shelters aren't always the worst situation for animals. We love and care for the animals at our shelter, though this may not be the case everywhere. I will provide an update when Nelson finds his forever home. I would take him myself, but I already have a 13-year-old cat and a 2-year-old lab, so it wouldn't be the ideal household for him. The news: our boy Nelson has found his forever home. He was adopted 8 days ago, and I've been waiting to see if it stuck before posting. Nelson became a top priority for adoption because he was one of our most difficult but favorite cats to take care of. He became Pet of the Month and caught the attention of an older gentleman who came in with a printed copy of our Facebook post. It was very adorable of him. This man automatically saw us as a great candidate for Nelson, as he was an experienced cat owner. He had a sad story. His wife passed away last year, and their 18-year-old tabby passed away 4 months ago. He was feeling very lonely and wanted to get a new friend but didn't want a young cat. Being older, he didn't have the energy to take care of a demanding cat. Nelson was absolutely perfect. I have witnessed heartwarming moments with pets and their new families, but this one tops them all. As you may remember, Nelson is a cranky asshole that you can't help but love. He's not really nice and can be standoffish, but I swear, when we brought him into the meeting room, he pranced over to the man and hopped up onto his lap. My jaw almost hit the floor. After 30 minutes of Nelson going crazy over this man, he was adopted and went off to his new home. The man has sent us photos and updates of Nelson since then, and it seems to be going very well. I guess he speaks cat. I won't be posting photos as the man is in them, and you know, I'm trying not to get in trouble at work again. While it may have been easy to laugh at the customer's belief that his cat understood him, it's crucial to remember that everyone has different experiences and perspectives. This story also highlights the power of connections between animals and humans, as Nelson eventually found his forever home with someone who appreciated his unique personality. It serves as a reminder that sometimes, the most unexpected bonds can form between individuals, even those of different species. As I stood there, stunned by his hurtful words, doubts began to creep in. Was this the person I was going to spend the rest of my life with? Little did I know, that comment was just the beginning of a shocking revelation. Here's how it all went down. Me and my fiancé have been together for almost 5 years, engaged for 6 months. We've never had issues where one of us was mad for a long time until this, and he, my mom, and friends think that I'm overreacting. I had a dream some nights ago that I ended up dating a famous actor by accident. We've both had dreams where crazy things happened and told each other about it. I told him in the morning, and we laughed about it. However, he made a comment about how my dreams are always extremely imaginative. I asked him to explain further, thinking it would be something funny. Instead, he made a comment about how I wouldn't be capable of attracting someone half as attractive as said actor, let alone him. I was taken aback, and he insisted that I be realistic, claiming that most men wouldn't even notice me because I appear to be taken and have lost my appeal, especially with the engagement. I told him that I don't seek attention from other men, but the implication of his words hurt me. He dismissed my feelings, stating that they were irrelevant because we are together and I would never leave him. For the record, my weight, hair, and overall appearance have remained the same, and I take pride in my appearance, so this isn't a matter of me letting myself go or anything. Seeking reassurance, I called my mom, who agreed that I was overreacting. I also reached out to my friends, who responded similarly. I feel deeply hurt because I love my fiancé and find him very attractive, and I know that others do as well. I am grateful that he chose to be with me, and it makes me value him even more. However, his comment has made me question whether he truly values me in the same way. Worst of all, I worry that I may be wrong for feeling this way, even though I can't control my emotions. Am I overreacting? If so, how can I manage this situation so that it doesn't negatively affect our relationship in the long term? It has been almost a week, and he is still distant with me, claiming that I appear miserable over a trivial matter. I just want things to go back to normal. The actor in my dream was Adam Driver, in case that is relevant. My closest group of friends consists of 4 girls, and I am the only one in a relationship. I do have other friends, but I haven't confided in them yet due to the response I received from my closest circle. Lastly, I have a long history of being highly sensitive and prone to crying over minor things. That's why it's not surprising for my closest ones to immediately call me out on it. I'm currently in therapy to address my sensitivity, my tendency to be a pushover, and my self-esteem issues. Thank you to everyone who has commented and provided support and reassurance. I will be initiating a conversation with my fiancé today to see if we can salvage this situation, or if I have potentially wasted half a decade of my life. First, you gave me the courage to reach out to my other friends outside my closest circle, and they were shocked by what happened and told me not to brush it off. They echoed many of your comments, and even called it negging too. Also, my therapist backed up my feelings and said I needed a straight-up chat with my partner and to set some clear boundaries and decide what's best for me and what I wish to enforce as my non-negotiables. Second, I did follow someone's advice and started going out more with my supportive friends. My birthday actually fell in between these dates, and I decided to celebrate it by bar hopping in my city, and it went great. My ex was invited, we were still together at that point, and was sulking the whole time because I did get external attention, which I shut down. Finally, what happened with my now ex? After talking with my therapist, I did explain my feelings to him again and reiterated that those comments will not be tolerated if we were to continue in the relationship. I also said we needed counseling as a couple, because this could stem from insecurities from both sides. He did not apologize, but rather justified his actions under 3 arguments, and yes, these came from a 28-year-old man. 1. I do look less interesting, and it's unfair to use my birthday as an example of me attracting anyone because I was catfishing as a younger woman, as the girls I invited are mostly 22, 24. 2. Adam Driver, the actor I dreamt about, is taller than him. We're both 5'7", and he is insecure about it, so dreaming with people taller than him is disrespectful and emasculating. 3. Even if his words, I'm objectively attractive, ever since I started therapy I became cocky and more demanding, so he took the chance to bring me back to earth. All of this was a shock to me. I felt as if the man I was with for the last 5 years was not there anymore. This was a complete 180 from what he was before, and I do believe is a mix of slipping off the mask after the engagement, and the fact that he changed jobs to a male-dominated corporation, and those new friends did give me a weird vibe regarding their stance on women and equality. Regardless of what prompted this change, I ended it, returned the ring, packed a bag with my essentials I had at his place, and left while he threw a tantrum. He was super uncooperative in returning some of my remaining stuff. He sent things in trash bags full of glitter and won't let me enter his apartment anymore. He also sent me all of the Star Wars movies with Adam Driver in them broken and destroyed, lol. This made all of the pain I felt almost immediately disappear, which feels weird because I did love him, and it was a long relationship. Yet I grieved for like a week only. I did count my losses and just accepted some things I won't get back. Blocked him and haven't heard or seen him since. Thank God it's a big city. My immediate circle of friends was cut off, as they valued more going to a wedding than my well-being. I'm low contact, LC, with my mom, and am being supported by my dad and siblings. I've continued therapy, did a Friendsgiving celebration, and I'm bracing myself for the holidays with my family. I'm mostly okay, relearning to be on my own, to validate my feelings, and currently debating whether to send a thank you card to Adam Driver. After going through a roller coaster of emotions and facing the harsh reality of her fiancé's hurtful comments, the OP made the brave decision to end the relationship. Although it was a difficult and shocking experience, she found support from friends, therapy, and her own resilience. With time, she started to heal and rebuild her life, embracing her independence and focusing on self-validation. While there may still be lingering thoughts and unanswered questions, she is grateful for the lessons learned and the strength gained from this experience. As she moves forward, she is reminded of the importance of setting boundaries, valuing her self-worth, and surrounding herself with supportive and caring individuals. If you enjoyed today's stories, check out the other videos on your screen now. Submit your own stories at you'rethejerk.com. Subscribe now, or you're definitely the jerk.